Thanks for joining this session. Just before we get started, some housekeeping. If an alarm goes off or we need to exit, please exit through either of the two doors and follow the instructions of the staff. If I could ask you to please turn your phones onto silent or vibrate, just so we don't have any disruptions during the presentation. I'm Rebecca Vivian. I'm from the University of Adelaide, and I'm here to chair the session. We've got a very exciting session here today. We've got Toni Falusi from the ACT. She's a project officer with the University of Adelaide Computer Science Education Research Digital Technologies team. And we've also got McKean, who's the WA project officer for the University of Adelaide team as well. They're presenting on microbits, so every bit counts is the title of the session, and I'm sure you're going to have a great session with them. I've done these activities before and they're very fun.
Thanks, Rebecca. Let's just see how this works.
Yeah,
Toni.
press the button.
Oh, that's our first technological feat this afternoon. Okay. Rebecca's done everything I was going to do in this slide. I was going to introduce Toni, tell you about us and what we do, but we're actually going to tell you a bit more about CSER. That's a computer science educational research team that we belong to. We've got a lot of project officers in the room. Would you like to put your hands up? From all states and territories, and it is our role to support teachers as they address the digital technologies, learning area of the curriculum in particular. Toni, what would you like to say?
As we start, let's get a show of hands. Who is a teacher in a school in this group? Excellent. Who else is in the education sector? Well done. And industry? Okay, and then others are students. Is that some of you are students? Yeah, a bit of everything. Okay, so the thing I've noticed today as we've met lots and lots of people, there's so many different areas that are coming together in this conference, which I think is amazing and awesome as well.
Now, CSER is a great source of professional learning, firstly with the project officers, dynamic people that can come out to your schools and help and support you in whatever it is you might be having trouble with, you might have a question mark on. But also there is the MOOC. Has anyone heard of the MOOC? It is a massively open online course. It is freely available to teachers in particular, pre-service teachers, and anyone who's interested in getting a handle on the digital technologies learning area. It is a great go-to place to learn and to become confident, and also to get a handle on what other people are using in their classes. It may not suit your class. You might look at the things that they're doing and think, oh, that's great, but I can't do that with my students. Because, as you know, every teacher knows their students well. But there might be little bits of things that you take out of whatever it is you see. In the same way, you might take little bits out of what we are going to show you today. But CSER is also responsible for the CSER Lending Library, and this is a jewel. This is a collection of bits and bots, and it sort of follows a nice little continuum, a developmental continuum from pre-primary all the way through and up to year 10 and beyond. So you can actually borrow these kits through CSER by registering for the MOOC. And then along comes a fantastic little resource with learning lesson plans, activities, and of course the support of the project officer should you want them. So we're going to show you today what you can possibly do with the CSER Lending Library Kit. And not just microbits, we're going to sort of do some bot work as well. So this is just an idea of where we have sent our lending library kits off to around Australia, and you can see that, like if I drill down onto that, some of those spots would just mushroom out as well. So there are lots of schools in every state and territory that have availed themselves of the kits and what the kits can do. I've given you all a Padlet link, and we'll be working from that Padlet in the workshop part of the session. And the Padlet is designed to, it's up to you. You can get out of it what you want. You can take it away and you can get into your jammies with a glass of wine and go through all of the resources and cull and take the things that you might like to use in your classroom. You could take it, get some of the kit that we have over there, and the project officers are there to help you if you want help, and you can start doing some of the activities in here now with us to help you. And then you can look at what some of these very clever Western Australian people have done with their bits and their bots. So that's just an absolute app smash of everything that's being done, probably across Australia at the moment, but certainly within Western Australia. And most of these activities, in fact all of them, are related to the Sustainability Development Goals. And I'll call them the SDGs because Sustainability Development Goals is a big mouthful. So the SDGs are what the UN is hoping, and many nations throughout the globe have signed up to achieving by 2030. Whether we do it or not, I'm not sure, but they also sit beautifully across our Australian curriculum and our cross-curriculum priority of sustainability. Also, a lot of the learning areas and digital technologies, as you probably are aware, give those learning areas the depth. As well as being a learning area by itself, it gives and adds depth to a lot of the other learning areas along the way. So what are the Sustainability Development Goals, SDGs? I'm thinking there should be sound possibly happening.
While this is happening, you're going to have some bags of M&Ms put on your table. Please don't eat them. Not yet.
Okay, so there are 17 of them. And they impact on us all in some way, shape or form. So it's time to get really serious about the SDGs, and Toni, you're going to help us do that. Okay, thanks.
All right. On your table, you should all have a packet of M&Ms now. And I want you to have a look at those M&Ms. You should have about 4 packets for your table group. And have a look at the distribution within those bags. Now, Robin and I have our bag of M&Ms up here. What can you see the difference between... Equality. Yes, exactly. Who got a bag with only one M&M in it? That's, yeah, really sad. And so thinking about what the goals mean and what the aim of that is, and that is to redistribute these resources around the world and make it more fair and equitable. And so thinking about how you could introduce this to students or in other areas, we thought this was a really fun way of doing that, to let you actually think about, yes, this isn't fair, you haven't got as many M&Ms as the person sitting beside you or the table beside you. You could even go as far as to allocate colours and then work out the resources based with that. So the blue could represent your access to clean water or, and breaking it down that way. So you are able to eat those M&Ms now that we've looked at what was in those bags. So I feel really sorry for those tables who don't have as many and have to share out less M&Ms than the others. But maybe you could trade with some other tables. You'll also notice that on your table you have some Lego. And that was just put there as a test to see who couldn't keep their hands off the Lego or not. No, not really. But what I would like you to do is, if you have made something with the Lego, if you could, pull it apart. Because we're going to do some activities with that Lego to start with. So what I would like you to do is, with the partner, I want you to choose 10 bricks from your kit. So choose 10 Lego bricks, and I'm only going to give you probably 60 seconds to choose those. Maybe less. Choose 10 bricks with your partner out of your pack of Lego. Does everybody have a thing of Lego between two people? Because I have some extras if you need some more. All right, put all the extra Lego back into the bag for now. So anything other than the 10 pieces, pop back in the bag. 10 pieces per group, per partnership. Put the rest away. You're not starting to build yet, don't build yet, just get your 10 pieces out. And I'm going to give you 1 minute to build the tallest freestanding tower that you can with those 10 bricks. But don't start building yet. There's still some more rules. No one is allowed to speak. Both participants must contribute to the build. So thinking about your 10 bricks that you've chosen, and you want to build the tallest freestanding tower you can in a minute. All right, I'm going to start the timer. Now you have 60 seconds. No one's allowed to speak. And your time is up. Hands off the Lego. Having a look around at the other towers on your table, how does it compare to others? All right, I'll just get you to focus your attention back on me for a moment, because it's all about me. Thinking and having a look at your tower, what would you change next time? Would you change anything? Would your decision be different? Some of you might change things. What would make your tower easier to build? Glue. Spoken like not a Lego builder. Brick choices. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to use the rest of the Lego, and we're going to introduce you to something called Lego Serious Play. Has anyone experienced Lego Serious Play before? It's a methodology around, or an approach to problem solving or communication involving Lego bricks. So it's that whole process of responding to a question using Lego and building your response, in other words. So it was established by Lego, and it's now been open sourced, so you can actually go and download the Lego Serious Play Facilitator Guide. It's hands-on, it's a constructivist approach, it's an innovative process, and it's based on thinking with your hands. So when you go into a meeting and people are discussing a problem, often one person will be talking and everybody else will be sitting back. Whereas with Lego Serious Play, everybody is involved in contributing to an answer and using storytelling and metaphors. So the bricks can be whatever you would like them to be. In your kit, there's a flower. That flower could represent life, or it could represent ideas, or it could be representing whatever you want it to be, basically. There are 4 processes to the Lego Serious Play. One is where you are posed with a question, and I'm going to give you a question in a moment. You construct a response to that question. You share that question with each other, so you have time to talk about your model with the other people on your table, and then you capture the data. So you take a photo of it and put it up on Twitter or keep it in your own photo album. But just that process is a really important part of the whole Lego Serious Play process. So my question to you is not on that slide. Okay. So the questions could be: build a model that represents, and again, your answer is not right or wrong. So these slides I added in to say what I just said. Constructing, build your answer with Lego bricks, think in metaphors and assign meaning to your bricks. The sharing part is to share your story and assigned meanings. You could use post-it notes if you were doing this in your classroom or in your workplace. Anything that you can use to capture and share, or to share your ideas is with each other. And the last step is to capture. So take a photo or write some words to capture your thoughts. You could draw and label your model depending on what your outcome is. So your question, another slide. I should be looking down here. Your etiquette of Lego serious play is that each person owns their model. If you have questions, be polite about the questions. There's no one right answer. So even if you think somebody's put a brick down that you think, well, that doesn't really represent that, if they say it's what it is, that's what it is. And everyone participates. So that's probably the main thing, that everyone needs to contribute. Now we're going to do this a little bit differently because you haven't got a packet of Lego each, so you're going to be working in pairs for this activity because we're just getting you to have that discussion. So how could you or your school contribute to a sustainable society? So remember, our whole workshop today is around those sustainable development goals, and thinking about sustainability is in our forefront of our mind all the time these days. We're talking about plastics and sharing our resources and knowing that things are not going to be as they are forever. So sustainability is a really big focus in my life, and I'm sure in most of yours as well. So thinking about the question I'm posing to you is, how could you or your school contribute to a sustainable society? So it's a little bit trickier than normal with Lego Serious Play today because you're working as a pair, so you're going to have to agree on things as you're building. But I'm going to give you some time to do that. I'm going to give you about 5 minutes to actually do your build today because we want you to think about it with each other, and then you're going to share your response back. Okay, you ready? Your time starts now. Play with the bricks. And stop building. So we're coming now to the share part, and we have a couple of people wandering around with microphones. So what I would like you to do is to share back to us. We're going to choose a few people, or ask you to choose yourself. My music's still playing. All right, would anyone like to share their model, share their story back? You've got 4. Okay, beautiful.
Thank you. So this is our model here. Hope everyone can see it. Okay, so on the bottom layer we have the green, which represents the environment, and these are our legs to stand on. Because without the environment we won't live. So, and the eyes are on like a clear block, which represents transparency in our daily life. Then the flower is for creativity and for new ideas, and the flag is for freedom of speech. And then
these little ski treading things is whenever someone's like trying to push you down, or if everyone's just like destroying your dreams, just keep on going forward and just, don't give up.
Well done. Thank you for sharing. We've got one over here.
Okay, microphone. So since we're both in high school, we decided to focus our question on the environment, because our school sometimes gets very dirty because a lot of the kids don't put their rubbish in the bin. So the bottom layer is the dirt, and then we have the grass, and then we have a little person with the flower and he's watering it because there's the blue on the side. And then there's the tree, and then there's the sun and shining the light rays off it. Yeah.
Well done. Thanks, girls.
All right, so we obviously are much more pragmatic and less, more concrete, rather than abstract. So we're both software engineers, and I teach at a programming boot camp. And so I really like to encourage our students to develop apps. This is a mobile phone with apps. This is Caitlin's clever, has a notification. That's right, I checked it. Now I checked the notification, it's fine, yeah. No, that's right. So I really do like to encourage our students and give them examples to develop apps that are going to contribute to our community in some way. So right now we have some students that are developing an app to resell children's clothes, and toys, because, you have them for like 2 months and use them, and then you don't use them anymore. And to resell textbooks, so, circular economy. But there's lots of opportunity when we're teaching, people how to code, to encourage them to code solutions that create a sustainable community.
Excellent. Well done. Thank you. Got someone from this.
Everyone else's were just so thought out and meaningful and beautiful. Anyway, I thought more like a 1-year-old. Clearly the person who's calling out during the session and knocking down other kids' Lego. Ours is a windmill hat that is designed to power a mobile phone.
I like it. Very good. Have we got someone from this side of the room?
So Rebecca here is a teacher at Moranbah High School. I work for BHP. So we discussed the sustainability of society in terms of the proportion of fly-in, fly-out workers in our remote communities. So we had a fly-in, fly-out worker, a house, and then also the work, just to show that there needs to be a balance in terms of the community impact that will have if you take away the workers.
Fantastic. What I love about this Lego Serious Play approach is that you can come at it from your own perspective, and all of the ideas that are shared are just so varied and creative, and I just think it's if I had have asked you to tell me verbally how could you or your school contribute to a sustainable society, your answers probably would have been very different. And so that's what I love about this approach, is that it really opens up that creativity side. So the last one is to capture, and we didn't get around to everybody, but if you would like to share your model out via Twitter and the Hopper Down Under hashtag, and a little bit of explanation about your what your model is and how you answered your question to that, we would really encourage that. We are mindful of time, so we're going to keep processing and progressing along. And just we ask at the end of the session, you just pop your Lego back in, but don't break it down yet. Let you time to actually take some photos and to share it when we go through. We're going to look today, just bring you back to the design thinking process as you go through the different activities that you're using today. Think back to this process as you're going through it, and just identify the different stages. Where are you entering your activity within the design thinking process? Do your bit, Robin. Segue for you.
Okay. So, just as there have been so many solutions in the room, when we drop the kits into the schools, there are lots and lots of creative ideas that are coming out of those schools. Many of them are sort of driven by challenges, such as the Do Your Bit challenge that has opened at the moment. That's the Microsoft one. And that has inspired a lot of creativity in Western Australia in particular. We drop the kit into the schools, and the MOOC, I should have mentioned, is free, and it's actually, if you register for the MOOC, you qualify to get the kits when they become available. So I'm just going to talk from my perspective now. So the kit comes into the school, the teacher rings or writes or contacts, and yes, they want some help. And first port of call is actually to design some learning that might suit that particular school, that culture, the culture of that school or that area. Then we unpack the bits, and the kids have got to have some sort of skill. They've got to be able to code. They've got to be able to just have a bit of pre-front loading before they are let loose with their creativity. Then we show them some clever ideas and some with the bits that have been done by other people. So when you get yours up on Twitter, I can actually show those around as well, share those with teachers over in the West. They get a chance to play with the bits. So free play is good, and you can have free play shortly. Connect to the curriculum and to the sustainability goals, and then sort of weave it all together with some school-based, project-based learning. So on this Padlet that I've passed out the link to most people, so there is a link going around. If you haven't got it, you should get it, because that is the link to all of the resources that we're talking about here this afternoon. And one is to a Flipgrid, and it's in that Flipgrid that you can actually interact with the people and the projects that I'm going to tell you about in a minute. So some of them are student voice, some of them are teacher voice, and others are just industry voice from some of the things that those particular bits can do. Also on the Flipgrid, you can interact, you can listen to the people, but you can also link to the resources that they use, and one of them is a Wakelet. The top resource is a Wakelet, which is a journey of their journey. A lot of it's Twitter-based, so if you haven't got a Twitter account, you really need one, and I think that was proven this morning by Dr. Black for sure. And follow through that Wakelet, that journey, how things that were done, how they've done it, and the resources, links to resources that they have used for their projects. So we've got a lot of things that can turn into workstations in a blink. We've got a hack your headphone activity, so all of these will be made clear in a minute. You can soar with drones, life below water, zero hunger, mission to Mount Olympus. That's another hack your headphone activity. Mechanica bits, an inventor's kit, empathy bits, and of course the Flipgrid. If you want to interact with the Flipgrid now, that is fine as well. So Dunsborough Primary School, they're all about life below water and zero hunger. So next slide, here we go.
Give money to people on the street so they can buy themselves food. Donate to a charity so they can give money to the people that need it. Help those in need. You could give them something like food or a blanket. Get to know others and have a meal so you don't starve and they don't starve.
So that's an interactive poster using Makey Makey. Coding by colour using the Ozobots, but also Dunsborough's a little village right on the beach, literally, and they're very passionate about keeping their beaches clean and life in the water as well. So you can see how the culture of the school really influences the way they are using these lending library kits. Empathy bits from Thornley Christian College, so good health and wellbeing, reduced inequalities. This was a gifted and talented group of Year 7s, 8s and 9s.
So I've made a Lego Technic to claw to normal Lego adapter, which allows the claw to be connected to the tendons, which are normal Lego blocks versus the original Technic blocks, and also a clamp that allows the claw to be attached to the frame.
So that was a case of getting a microbit, coding it, attaching it, building the claw, which was painful, I can tell you, but kids could do it, I couldn't. I'm too impatient. And they put it together, but then it evolved into something really special. They started doing TED Talks and all sorts of things. So I couldn't bring one with me because they are presenting it with at a conference on Saturday, and I don't think they'd trust me with it. They are honestly very protective of their inventions. The Green Lab, Millennium Kids is a not-for-profit organisation, and they run Green Lab sessions for cluster schools throughout Perth. And this particular cluster of schools, they go into, this one was into the wetland areas, and they were using the kits to look for measure temperature, soil, and they actually needed a compass to sort out and get their site that they were going to investigate. So they actually had a skill session with me to the teachers and the students to code those microbits, and then they had a session in using the microbits and then using the data that they were able to get from the microbits in the field back into Excel spreadsheets, et cetera, and that was anyone. Admittedly, they were picked from the schools, so I don't know how they chose the students. A lot of them were naughty, so I guess it was hey, the teacher wants a break today, let's send that kid out to do the green lab. But once they're engaged, they were not a problem, so it was good. It was good for them. It was a win-win. So, and also, this is a work in progress using the sewing kit. Meredith's running a session tomorrow on the e-textiles, but to make an inclinometer, which is a way of measuring the height of a tree, and then they're going to work out the biomass and the carbon offset and do a whole lot of maths and STEM-type green lab stuff as well. So that's in process. PIAC is Primary Extension and Challenge Group. For Year 5s and 6s, they were doing a mythology unit and was mainly English. But this particular teacher needed some wow factor in her groups because there's so much wow factor happening back in the schools. When they come away to the PIAC groups, if there's not super wow factor, kids aren't wanting to come anymore. So it was our job to go in and do some super wow stuff, which we did. So they had to code different gods and goddesses. The Super 12, I don't know if you know them, there's Zeus and there's Athena and, the big 12. And they had to code them with the attributes that they were famous in mythology for. So Zeus, they made a weather station, and Athena, I think she was the smart one, the maths one. And then the terpsichore we threw in as a muse of music because the girls really wanted to do the dancing thing, so they created a terpsichore and hacked the headphones in order to do that. But these were kids that were very young, very green, and never handled the tools or the bits, so we had to spend 3 or 4 weeks just really front-loading and teaching the coding before they could actually develop their robo goddess for the 21st century that would be have the attributes to save the world in 2030. So there is a hack your headphones activity over there should you want to do it. It takes about 15 minutes to complete. Soaring, this is years 9 to 12, and they're actually doing a drone sort of series of environmental activities, and they've got to start off, they've actually got to prove that they know how to be safe. And of course, everyone thinks drones are great, but you really just can't go and fly them anywhere. So the students had to prove that they were aware of the safety, so they had to create their own safety message. And then they had simulated flights, and I put the helicopter missions there that they flew. They actually had to do the lunar landing several times and then do the physics activities that went with it to prove that they understood all the forces and the physics involved in flight, because now they are currently building their own drones, and they're going to use those drones for environmental data logging. And luckily, they've got a big gym, so we can do a lot of flight things inside and in safe conditions. So they also are coding the microbits to act as the controls, and we've given them the old retro coding control, which is over there, to learn how to code that as well and control their drone that they are building. So those activities you can get to from that Padlet of links I've given you. Our Lady of Fatima really started at the very beginning. They got the Move Mini kit, they got the microbits, and they got the Inventors kit, and those children had to start from the beginning. They didn't have any idea whatsoever. But the things they have been doing to get the Move Mini, to radio control, talk to the Move Mini, get it to move right, left, stop, whatever, they could do that. Now they're up to inventing, and they've done the 12 little invention modules that come with the kit, and they are now really quite professionally polished at using all of the parts of the inventor's kit. And how are they using it? They started off, their first radio control activity was this Fireflies one, and then they did the Marco Polo game that you see kids playing in a pool near you when you're on holidays, and you never want to hear Marco Polo again. They did that, but with the microbits. And then they synchronised their bits to become the Fireflies. They played a hot potato game, did a whole lot of sort of fun things with the radio control part of the lesson plans. And they're basing a lot of their future inventions
to create a single jar of honey. When
on
bees find
Mechanica
nectar,
and on the
they tell the other bees
steampunk
where to find it by flying in a
machinery
figure eight and waggling their
illustrated
bodies.
in there.
This tells the other bees the direction and how far to the nectar. Let's try out the waggle dance with our drones.
So they can take that biomimicry even further. So going from the fireflies to the bees to all sorts. That's another, probably about a 10, 15-minute lesson. So that's the Padlet. Your choice now as to whether you just want to follow through and see what those teachers have been doing, whether you want to grab the kit, master something, deep dive into something. You've got your project officers here to help you if you want to ask questions, and you can just have a go, see how you go. Okay, I think you've got about 10 minutes, 15? Okay. If you're not good at working electronically, there's some printed sheets here that you can work from.
Yeah. Okay, I might get you to just stop there for a moment. We are coming to the end of our workshop, and we only have 5 minutes left. And in that time, we actually have to be packed up as well, ready for the next group to come in. So thank you for attending today. If you are in a school and you would like us some contact with the CSER team, please come and see Robin or myself or the other project officers. I have some business cards if you want to take that to contact us, or just Google CSER MOOCs and it'll take you to our homepage. And yeah, I think we'll be here for the next day, so if you find us around and want to have a chat with us, please do that. Thank you.